Alright, what's up, guys? I just recorded the whole frickin' thing, and then I realized I was not recording audio, so now I gotta do it all over again. But yeah, I'm gonna give an update on what I've been doing the past, 2 weeks, week and a half or so since my last update video. So yeah, let's hop in. Yeah, so biggest thing I've added in is, so I've added in like an object selection system. So you could, any of these objects on the screen, you could select it, and then it will bring up like a translation gizmo like you would get in Blender. And then you could just like select any of the axes on the gizmo and just drag along it, and then it will let you translate any of the models around the stage. So pretty sweet. So I'm gonna click on it, and yeah, you see once I click on it, I get this outline, this orange outline. And what this is I used this article on the opengl page, stencil testing. Yeah, so this uses stencil testing shader to make this orange outline. So what stencil testing is, basically when you draw an object onto the screen in your fragment shader, it'll like draw the object normally, but then also it'll fill in this stencil buffer. So wherever the object has a pixel, like an active pixel, then it'll just put a 1 there in the stencil buffer. And then where there's negative space, there'll be a 0. So yeah, here you can see it's like this square thing. But if I had like a sphere, then if I drew the sphere on the screen, you'd have zeros everywhere, but then you'd have like a circle filled in with a bunch of 1s. So your stencil buffer would just be like a circle. And then so you could use a stencil buffer for drawing on a screen, but you could tell your shader like, hey, only draw the pixels of the stencil buffer that have a 1. So yeah, here you can see like this is what the regular image would be, but then when you have this square stencil buffer, it'll actually only draw these pixels that are in the shape of the stencil buffer 1s. You get the idea. You get it. Yeah, and then you could use that for making object outlines. So what I do is I take this model, and then you just draw it onto the stencil buffer, so you have like a filled in shape of the model. And then what we want is we actually want an outline. We don't want the filled in shape. So what you do for the outline is you just kind of like draw it, and then you scale it up a bit, and then you draw it again. And what you could do is when you draw it the second time that's bigger, you could just subtract the smaller version of it from the bigger version, so that you're kind of just left with the outline. Well, I hope that explained it. Yeah. So one issue that I ran into is like I tried to do it by just like scaling up. Like that's what this article tells you to do. But when you have like non-symmetrical shapes like this, it doesn't really outline it properly. You just kind of get this weird like shadow looking thing. So what I did instead was in the vertex shader, I just took all the vertices and I just extended them along the normal of the vertex a little bit. And the normals on here are not like smoothed out, so you can see it kind of looks like I just exploded the model a bit. There's like gaps between, and I'd like to fix this eventually, but I don't feel like it, so I'm not gonna do that right now. So yeah, that's the outline. I think it looks pretty cool. And then also we have this like gizmo thing. So I have like 3 axes, and these are a part of this geometry shader that I made. Where's it at? Yeah, this is, so I have these shaders for move gizmo, vertex shaders just pass through basically. And then I just have this generate gizmo function, which generates, this is a X, Y, and Z axis, and then yeah, you just draw it in. And then if I click on the gizmo and I drag along on the axes, then it'll let me move it in the direction. Pretty cool. Yeah, so I can just move this wherever. I'll put it on the grass. Why not? So yeah, we can put it on the grass. And when I deselect it, then it removes the outline. So yeah, now we got it over here. Yeah, so for the clicking and dragging, so to select an object, what I do is I actually have like a bounding box around the object, and then when I click, the game will check if the ray casting out from your camera is intersecting that bounding box. And then if it is, then it will select it in this like stage selection manager that I built. Yeah, so this stage I just kind of made to hold all of the models and manage them in the stage. And then it'll just like, when you update the stage, it'll just check if any rays from your camera are intersecting parts of the bounding box, like any bounding box on the stage. And then if you are left clicking while it's highlighting stuff, then it'll select the first one that you are intersecting with. So yeah, we have a bounding box here. You could see, like, say I wanted to select over here, like I could click right on the model and it'll select it, but then if I click on the outside, the bounding box kind of extends out here, so it'll still click it. And then for the gizmo, I actually do the same exact thing, just like around each of the axes. So I have a bounding box around this, around this, around this. So if I like click out into space, it doesn't do anything, but if I kind of like click on the area surrounding it, then it intersects this like invisible bounding box there. So then I could drag it. And then for the translation, I just kind of take the plane that the axis is on. So this, I think I do the like YZ plane. And then I just project my mouse ray onto it. So, I mean, this kind of does the job, but you end up with some weirdness when this is kind of weird to explain. But since these planes will extend out into infinity, you end up with weird behavior when you are looking at a plane that infinitely extends like out to right here. Because you'll see what I mean when I click on it. So I click on it while looking almost like parallel to the plane, and then I'll drag it to the right, and yeah, it just goes out like really far. Whoa, it's pushing me. Yeah, so I mean, this is a problem because like if you ever dealt with like asymptotes in math, you'll kind of know what's going on here. Like the plane kind of stops right here. If it infinitely extends onto the screen, it just kind of stops. So then like anything I do here, like that thing is out in infinity right now, brother. So what I would like instead is if like I click on it and then just kind of change my angle, then it just kind of scales like proportionally to my angle change on the camera or something like that. So yeah, that kind of like I could do this on the well, and I could do this on this sword. I could also do it on the stage, but it's gonna kind of mess things up. Yeah. So yeah, that's the object selection and translation system, which that took like a week and a half or something like that to build. And then we got this fella right here. This is the other cool thing I added. So in the OpenGL tutorial, there's this like guest article from 2020 called Skeletal Animation, and this kind of just shows you how animating with the skeleton works. So yeah, you have the model. This is called like the skin, and then you have all the bones that kind of attach to the model. And then what you do is you have vertices on your skin that are like attached to each of the bones, And then uh, you like animate these bones. So like the bones are kind of the base for what you're animating. And then when you move each piece of the bone, it'll kind of transform the vertices with the bone. So if I move like the wrist up, then it's going to take all the vertices attached to the wrist and it's going to give them that same kind of transformation matrix. And then yeah, you like have all these keyframes and you transpose or interpolate the keyframes and yeah. Honestly, I just like copy pasted a lot of this code. I read through this whole thing, but it's kind of hard to understand it all without like messing around with it. So actually, when I copied all this code and put it in for the first time, it just like didn't work at all. Uh, so then I had to go into the demo here. Yeah, you can see I have like all of the code tabs open, and this is where the actual code is. So I ended up just like copy and pasting it and then meshing it in with the rest of my code. And then yeah, so I got this freaking guy working. He's just happy. He's just happy to be here. Look at him. And then this guy I got from Mixamo. Yeah, like Mixamo is just an Adobe thing, and they just have all these models that you can grab, and then animations for the models. So yeah, I got this guy selected, and then oh dude, let's have him do some planks. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, so you could just like click on any of these animations, and it'll just kind of like attach them together, and then yeah, you could just load any of these. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could make him do some planks. Yeah, I just found this like happy idle animation. Like he's so happy. So yeah, I just did this, and this only took like 2 days. I like started reading the article yesterday after I finished with my like object selection system, and then this morning I just kind of wrapped up on it. So yeah, like, cause I copy pasted a lot of the code, I don't really understand fully what's going on. But I plan to kind of mess around with the animations, like add in more. Um, so when I mess around with it, then I'm gonna kind of be forced to understand it more, which is good. So yeah, that kind of wraps up everything. Um, yeah, I've still just kind of been keeping track of all my progress every day in this devlog thing. So I started this on the 22nd, so it's not quite been a month yet, but it's been like almost 3 weeks. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I got audio this time, so that's freaking sweet. So yeah, see you guys later.